I'm going to show you how to install BetterGraphs into your Ignition project. First, we're going to extract the zip file. Inside the zip file, there's a handful of files and a quick how-to guide that gives us kind of a checklist of the things that we need to do to get this working. So the first thing that you need to know is Ignition 7.9.7 is required because it has the system dataset clear dataset script. So it's best if you use this version. If you don't have this version, you'll have to go through and replace this call with manually clearing a dataset. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up 4 SQL tables, and I have create table script for you for MySQL, and you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do it in MySQL Workbench or in Ignition Designer if you have a functioning database connection. So here's our MySQL create statement. I'm going to open that and copy all of it, and in MySQL Workbench I'm going to connect to my server and then just open up a new query tab here and paste this in. And before we run that, you need to right click your Ignition schema and set it as a default schema, and then go ahead and execute that. And then we get these 4 checkmarks for each of these tables. And then if we refresh our schema, we can see here's 1, 2, 3, 4 tables. Back in Designer, we can look in Database Query Browser, and for our default or whatever database you're going to use, here's our 4. And if you wanted to, you could copy and paste each one of these individually, each one of these create statements into this to create these tables. You can't do all 4 at once. So now that we have our SQL tables created, next we're going to import our client tags. So right click on client in our tag browser, and I'm going to import tags, and then just navigate to your extracted zip file folder and then select import into client tags and hit open. And then there's just one more step here, is under active tag pens. We're going to open that, click on this button, and then clear and delete all the rows and hit OK. So now we have an empty 0-row data set for active tag pens. Next, we're going to import the template. Right click on templates in your project browser, click import, select import into templates, hit import again, and now we have this add trend icon that we can drag onto a screen or another template. Next, we're going to import our windows. I'm going to right click Windows, click import, and select import into Windows, click import again, and now we have a folder called BetterGraphs with some windows inside of it. The last thing we need to do, or second last thing, is project script. So under scripts and script library for project, I'm going to create a new script. I'm going to call this better, capital B, graphs, capital G, all one word. And then next, there's a BetterGraphs .py file, and we can just open this with Notepad or WordPad or any text editor. I'm going to copy everything, paste that in, click commit, and then we can close that window. And then the very last thing that we need to do is set it up for our project properties here, permissions, and we need to enable legacy database access. So I have this set up so that anyone can use this. You can put in your client roles here as appropriate and click OK. Next, I'm going to show you how we're going to set up a template on our screen. So I'm going to go to our main screen here, and I'm going to go into templates and drag this add trend icon onto my screen. And ideally you can add this to another template that you reuse everywhere. And there's 3 main things here. The only one that's required is tag path. And so under tags, I have a tag here called seconds, and I'm going to just copy out his tag path and paste it into tag path. The thing that you need to know is that this needs to resolve to a string of what the tag path is. You cannot bind it to a physical tag. If you do want to calculate a tag, you can do that in expression and calculate that string. Description. These are things, as description label, are going to be things that are populated on the graph page. So a lot of times you might have a better description somewhere than just the tag name or whatever you want to use. And then we can just go ahead and save our project. And now here in my live project, I have this icon. If I right click on it, it shows me the tag path, so I know exactly what it is that I'm adding, and I can add that to graph. And then on the edit pen window, here's where it passes the label and description that we assigned it as the name and description. And then we can configure this tag path, or we can configure this pen here. It generates a random color. Sometimes these colors are good, sometimes they're not. And then you can go ahead and click add pen. You can either right click on that icon again to open a current graph, or I give the operators a button here to open the graph window quickly. And here we can see that our tag has been added to our graph window. If you want to see more about how to use these windows, check out my other video for BetterGraphs tutorial.